Palmer Luckey, the founder of defense technology company Anduril Industries, expands on his innovative approach to weapons manufacturing with a singular goal in mind: to outperform China's weapons manufacturing capabilities.
Well, and like Anduril has to think about this all the time, because unlike a lot of these other defense companies that are designing weapons that can only be made by really fancy, high-end bespoke factories, we're designing weapons that can be made in existing American industrial capacity. So like we make this line of cruise missiles, the Barracuda. We make 3 different Barracuda missiles. It has 90% fewer parts than legacy cruise missiles. It can be made with 10 tools that all exist in every automotive plant. So you could make this missile at mass scale in any GM facility, in any Ford facility. And that's really important for us, because if you can only make your missiles in this specialized factory that took you 10 years to set up, well, what in the world do you do when you need 100 times more of those missiles made every day? Right. You're just kind of screwed. Have you seen the automated cruise missile factories that China has?
I haven't.
Oh man, you've got to look this up at some point. There's some videos that they put out there, and they have this totally robotic line.
CCTV recently released a short clip revealing China cruise missile and anti-ship missiles engine components automated production line. This is only one part of factory automated facilities. China has significantly upgraded missile manufacture process technologies, and produces most advanced cruise missiles and anti-ship missiles. As shown in the video, there is very little human labor involved in the production lines. The daily output of this factory, reportedly, is over 1,000 missiles if it operates 24 hours a day.
But another thing China does is they actually require many of their commercial vessels that have nothing to do with the military to build to military standards for 2 reasons. 1, because it means that all the shipyards are being built to handle military standards. 2, they plan on they're going to press all of these civilian vessels into service. So they're saying, hey, you have this roll-on, roll-off car ferry that's used for moving cars around, for delivering cars to the United States. You have to build it to deck plate pressures that allow us to roll a bunch of tanks onto it so that we can then use it to deliver tanks to Taiwan from the Chinese mainland. And they're just requiring people to do that. And so even their civilian shipping fleet is actually this kind of military ghost fleet just sitting in the open, pretending to be civilian, but the moment the shit hits the fan, it becomes part of the war machine. And so they've done a great job integrating in a way the United States has not.
Do you think that an invasion of Taiwan is imminent?
It's not imminent, but
Inevitable?
It's coming. So Anduril has an internal policy called China 27. The idea is anything we're working on, anything that we're investing in, needs to be built with the assumption that sometime in 2027, China is going to move on Taiwan. And I might be wrong on this, right? It might be never. It might be a longer term thing. I think that it is very likely that China moves on Taiwan for a variety of political reasons. So like Xi Jinping has this window politically where he can show that he's reunified China. He's got a lot of demographic problems that are going to go out of control as he waits and people age. He's got a lot of economic problems where they're propping up their economy with a lot of kind of fake GDP, fake growth, fake demand, fake construction. And he's doing that, I think, to help build up his war machine, but it's not sustainable in the long run. So I think there's a window where they can do this.
Do you guys agree with that 2027 claim? Let me know what you think in the comments.
If you had to ask me, it's more likely that they don't do a full-scale invasion to start. It's much more likely that they do something like a blockade. So they'll come up with some pretense. They'll say, Taiwan is exporting goods that say made in Taiwan. And our position is that Taiwan is part of China, and therefore they need to pay Chinese taxes on those made in China goods. So we're going to blockade their port and not let them export anything until they resolve this. And I worry about them kind of boiling the frog. You know, they blockade one port and then 2 ports and then the airports. And then the people of Taiwan are running out of money, running out of food. But you've boiled the frog enough where there's never a point where Taiwan really wants to fire the first shot and actually start a war. And certainly, I think I would agree here. The U.S. probably should not start start World War III over a blockade of a port, right?
Right.
That's a lot.
Boiling the frog is a great analogy.
Boiling the frog, I think, is what China will do. And so what we need to do, and this is just my opinion, which is definitely biased. So to be clear, just so people know, nobody's going to dig it up and say, but Palmer's obviously only saying this because he's got money in the game. I will first say, I have plenty of money. I sold my first company for billions of dollars. I don't need to work. I could retire. I'm not doing any of this for the money.
Yep. This guy sold the Oculus VR headset to Meta in 2014 for $2 billion.
But I do a lot of work with Taiwan. So I just went to Taiwan a few weeks ago to personally deliver a bunch of missiles and weapon systems that are specifically to counter a Chinese invasion. My opinion is that the United States, we don't want to get into a shooting war ourselves, right? Like, we want to avoid that. The United States needs to stop being the world police, stop sending our people overseas to die for other countries. And instead, we need to become the world's gun store. What do you need to do to be a good gun store, right? You got to keep stuff in stock. You got to keep things on the shelves. You need to be reasonably priced. You need to not arbitrarily cut off allies. And like, could you imagine if you went to a gun store and they told you, Joe, we're going to sell you this gun, but you can't use it over in that county. You can only use it in this one. And we're going to tell you exactly how you can use it. We're going to be micromanaging you. And we're going to be taking responsibility for how you use your gun. I mean, that would never work. You would never want to work with them. You'd say, I'm going to go to a different store. I'm going to go buy something. And that's what some nations are doing. Like, they're going to Russia. They're going to China. They're going to India and buying systems because we're going in and telling them, our weapons are expensive. They're never in stock. We never deliver them to you. And also, we're going to tell you what to do with them if we ever do give you to them.
The U.S. defense budget for fiscal year 2026 is around $900 billion, more than the next 6 countries combined. And yet, our weapons are never in stock, as he just pointed out. So, what gives?
Like, did you know that Taiwan is $20 billion behind on arms deliveries from the United States? They have $20 billion in orders that have not been delivered. These are not things they would maybe like to have. They need these yesterday. China could move in tomorrow. And the thing is, even a blockade, the best way to deter that is for Taiwan to have the things that make them a very prickly porcupine, right? You want to have things like sea mining capabilities that make a blockade basically impossible to effect without destroying the entire fleet. You want things like missiles and counter-missile systems that make it impossible to lock in the country. But we're $20 billion behind. I mean, you've seen what's happened with Ukraine, where there's an argument as to how we should arm them. Separate from that argument, we can't even give them what they're asking for, even if we want to give it to them, because we don't have enough to even cover ourselves, right? Like, we can't just give them all of our Patriot missiles. We can't give them even purely defensive tools to protect their capital because we don't make enough of them. We don't have enough of them. They're too expensive. That's crazy to me.
What's crazy to me is all the unnecessary wars the U.S. is involved in all around the world to be responsible for all this bloodshed. How can you justify that to your maker when you finally stand before him to be judged? These people are truly satanic. If you liked the video, please consider liking and subscribing. It would mean a lot, actually.